In our top stories tonight, Barbados implementing safe zones in its latest effort to manage the COVID-19 pandemic. Waste management identified as a new opportunity for Barbados to be globally competitive. More businesses signing up for the BNSI's seal of approval. And in sports, Coach Simmons expects the Windies to be at full strength for the T20 World Cup.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
A very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom. Thank you so much for joining us. In our top story tonight, there will be some big changes to government's COVID-19 response. These were revealed late this evening when Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley headlined a live press conference at Ilaru Court, which finished just moments ago. Our Shane Jones was following that briefing, and he joins us live now to give us a better understanding of what transpired. Shane?
Good evening, Lisa. Well, in acknowledgement of the spiraling COVID-19 cases and deaths resulting from the ongoing surge, the Prime Minister revealed that government will now have to transition to the next level of the COVID-19 fight with the implementation of safe zones. Here's what they'll look like.
We need to be able to have places where persons are either vaccinated or recently tested. Vaccinated or recently tested. Because at the end of the day, what matters is that you are safe and not in a position to put each other at risk. 142,000 Barbadians, 543 Barbadians have spoken with their feet, and they've spoken with their arms, and they've said, look, we believe that our personal responsibility is to take care of ourselves, and in so doing, what we're asking the rest of us to do is to recognize that if you are not prepared to take that test, then you would have to be prepared to be tested to assure the rest of us that as we mix, whether it is at work, whether it is in places of entertainment, whether it is in places of worship, whether it is in restaurants or hotels, that anywhere where people will frequently be, that there must be a safe zone.
So one of the interesting things Prime Minister Motley said was that the responsibility to infect someone else is as strong as government's responsibility not to force people to put something into their body. She said government is not mandating vaccines, but it will mandate safe zones. Ms. Motley gave reasons for government taking the decision.
It is one that is born of us having had now almost 60% of eligible Barbadians in that position. As I said, when we get to the higher numbers of 70% of persons who are eligible, then we will start to look at adjustments to the further hours of restriction of movement.
So we're having safe zones, meaning that the national lockdown is still off the table. Prime Minister Motley reiterated government's position on that.
There are those who will say, shut down again, lockdown again. But my friends, you and I know that lockdown don't work, and lockdown is not going to work in this, especially after 20 months of mental fatigue. But I know that it is within our capacity as Barbadians to do the right thing. And how do I know that? Because you've already done it. This country has a higher percentage of persons who have chosen to be vaccinated as an independent nation than most, and largely because it isn't only about what we have been able to secure as a government, but it is also about what you have responded to and gone and taken with your feet and your arms.
Well, Lisa, other points coming out of the Prime Minister's address were that the mobile vaccination team will be going into homes of people who are not mobile, as well as those with chronic NCDs that are outpatients of the QEH. There will also be special lines in place at the Alexandra and Princess Margaret schools and the Eunice Gibson Polyclinic. These will be set up for persons over 70 and people with chronic NCDs to have a hassle-free experience when going to be vaccinated. Well, as usual, the Health and Wellness Minister, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostick, led off the media conference. After giving the latest numbers, he addressed what he called two game changers in Barbados' COVID-19 situation: the rising number of young persons contracting the virus, as well as the increase in positive patients who were getting very sick. Now, that last point has forced government to make some changes to the isolation facilities. He says work is already in progress to refit the tertiary facility at Harrison Point to upgrade it to a secondary facility facility to treat more of the sick patients. Minister Bostic also assured the public that the outbreak at the elderly care facility and the geriatric hospital previously mentioned are being managed well. So, Lisa, this latest media conference by the Prime Minister comes against the background of the COVID-19 death toll reaching 98 after 2 more Barbadians succumbed to the viral illness yesterday. A 69-year-old Barbadian man died after spending 7 days in primary isolation. He was unvaccinated. The other casualty was that of a 74-year-old Barbadian woman who passed away in primary isolation where she spent 35 days, and she was also unvaccinated. So to the numbers now, there were 214 new COVID-19 positive cases detected among the 1,706 tests conducted by the Best of Santos Public Health Lab. These new cases included 94 males and 120 females. Of these, 55 persons are under the age of 18 and 159 are 18 years and older. There are 565 people in isolation facilities and 2,088 in home isolation. Now, in terms of vaccinations, 142,182 people have received first doses of the COVID-19 vaccines. A total of 112,162 persons have had their second dose and are now fully vaccinated. So, Lisa, no lockdown, but safe zones are coming. That's the very latest in our long COVID-19 story. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Shane. Well, coming up, a new process for prisoners on remand to eliminate some issues with the penal system. A quarterly report on all prisoners on remand is now in place. That revelation came from Chief Justice Sir Patterson Cheltenham as he addressed the virtual opening of the legal year 2021 to 2022. Sir Patterson, the 5th Chief Justice since independence, said the information will be provided electronically by the Superintendent of Prisons.
With immediate effect, and utilizing the powers vested in me under the warrant of general jail delivery, the Superintendent of Prisons will be required to provide to the head of the Criminal Division or any judge designated by me every 3 months a full report on the status of remand prisoners. This process will be done electronically and is designed to address the troubling and unsettling concerns that result in persons being incarcerated for long periods with no known likelihood of a trial date within a reasonable time as contemplated by our Constitution.
Waste management is being seen as a tremendous opportunity for Barbados to get in on coming out of UNCTAD 15. That's according to Minister in the Ministry of Foreign Trade, Sandra Husbands. She was a guest on last night's CBC TV8's current affairs program, The People's Business. Minister Husbands says with the world seeking to make its production processes more environmentally friendly, Barbados must look to establish and identify niche areas where the country can excel.
Is going to give birth to a number of industries that will generate trillions of dollars, which will take the world forward and the world economies, cause it to spring forward in a significant way. The question is, can Barbados participate in the new industries that will look at producing certain products in a different way so that they're more environmentally friendly? Of being able to come up with solving problems. And this is where your university students, your medical, your biochemists and so on, those who are studying physics, it is important now to get them into innovating.
Minister Husbands also stressed that Barbados must develop a trade policy that guards against getting bogged down with old assets from other countries, and one that also allows for the development of new solutions for manufacturing. Now, on board with that development is Barbados Ambassador to the United Nations and the World Trade Organization, Chad Blackman. He says the time is now for Barbadian researchers and developers to find new ways of surviving in a world where global demands are shifting.
Getting our people to think, getting our institutions to hit the ground running now, within the next 3, 4, 5 months, year, possibly, having dedicated focus sessions on looking to see what are the global demands for sustainability in terms of goods, for example. Just one example. What competitive advantage do we have? What resources do we need? How do we get our young persons coming out of UE, Polytechnic, Sixth Form, being able to now reimagine and putting these things in place, getting all financiers together with them to get these things to market, not just for Barbados, but to export. So tangibles, that would be one that I would really like to see pushed through.
Minister of Maritime Affairs Kirk Humphrey is reiterating there will be no sea egg season this year. His comments come on the heels of a video being shared on social media showing people harvesting the creature. Noting the video was taken a few years ago, he says those caught with sea eggs could be fined. He also explained why the decision has been taken to keep the ban.
You would understand that every single year, around June, just before June, July, we send persons out to survey all the coasts. We go on the east coast, we go on the south, we go on the northern coast, we go on all the coasts. And the divers report the maturity, the amount of sea eggs that they see. And we use that to determine if we're going to have open season or not. This year has been one of the lowest on record in terms of what we've seen. The number of sea eggs in fact, the divers said in many cases there were no eggs, there were no sea eggs, and the ones that they saw, they were very immature. So we could not possibly open sea egg season this year because it doesn't make sense.
The Food and Agricultural Organization will be marking World Food Day on Wednesday with a focus on value chain development and having individuals recognize their role in the process of food security. Wendy Burke spoke with Dr. Renata Clark, FAO Sub-Regional Coordinator, about the way forward.
The agriculture sector in Barbados and the region has shown signs of both vulnerability and resilience in the face of COVID-19 and natural disasters. Dr. Renata Clark said the theme of this year's celebration is broad in focus because so much is happening within the sector.
So the theme for this year's World Food Day is Our Actions Are Our Future, Transforming Agri-Food Systems for Better Production, Better Nutrition, Better Environments and Better Lives, Leaving No One Behind. It's quite a mouthful, a lot to chew on, but like I said, particularly now in this protracted crisis, it really is a call to action for all of us.
The FAO has also been helping the region with its call to action in the face of natural disasters within the last year.
A lot of work can come to naught with a flood, a storm. And this underlines the importance that we've been placing in the region on resilience. Okay, and resilience is a big concept. It requires many things, but specifically, it's about early warning, actionable early warning. So we know what's coming, and we're much better prepared to mitigate damages.
She said the focus now is developing value chains and not only technical or financial support.
We have to produce for markets. We have to produce competitively. So we are putting a much bigger emphasis on the value chain assessment and working with governments and private sector stakeholders to understand really where the opportunities lie, so that the investment goes behind those opportunities. And we've been seeing good results coming out of this in some of the Caribbean countries, and we're going to be steaming on ahead with this approach.
World Food Day is being celebrated on Saturday, October 16th. Wendy Burke, CBC News.
The Business Report is brought to you by Sky Mall, serving you to make your shopping experience pleasurable.
Well, several businesses have been signing on to the Barbados National Standards Institution's Safe Business Initiative. Acting Director Hayden Rind says ice cream manufacturer Bico is the latest company to get the BNSI's seal of approval for the extra steps it has taken to ensure its buildings are safe. He was speaking during a webinar hosted by the Barbados Manufacturers Association. Now, according to Mr. Rind, participating businesses will have their premises assessed, and if their practices and procedures are in keeping with the international occupational and health and safety standards, they are given a safe business stamp that can be displayed.
What that says to all of your customers and all of your clients looking on, not only are you interested in quality, but you're very interested in the safety of your employees and the safety of your customers. And this is beyond the national protocols of, hand washing and social distancing and so on. This goes way beyond that. This says that you've done everything possible to ensure that all of your operations have been vetted for safe practices.
Well, versatility is key with locally made wines, and at a tasting demonstration for Valeria Wines at Shop Smart, Sector Consultant for Wines and Spirits at the Barbados Trust Fund Limited, Onika John, told the media local wines are different from foreign wines, and she gave an explanation.
When it comes to wine, there are different kinds and levels of wine and different types of taste profiles. So then you are talking about the traditional grape wine, that is a European grape. This is something completely different from our local tropical fruit wine. So it's a different process, it's a different taste profile, and in fact, our wines have a wider range in terms of what it can do.
We're also hearing that plans are already in place to get local wines in Barbadian homes this Christmas, and the wine official said wine lovers can expect pop-up sessions.
As things change with COVID from time to time, we will be doing pop-up sessions like this. But as I guess more people get vaccinated, as restaurants and bars open back up a bit more, then we will be a lot more active in the market in terms of running promotions.
We head back over to the sports studio now for the second half in sports. Amri, what do you have for us?
Well, Lisa, it was a welcome return to competitive swimming action as over the weekend the 29th Annual Aquatic International Invitational was held at the Aquatic Center in Wildy.
These are the 50-meter breaststroke events where not the girls 11 to 12, where the battle was between Faith Jeffrey, Toria Aline, and Naria McLean. These young ladies were going stroke for stroke, and so it will go down to the wall where Aline just makes it ahead of Jeffrey and McLean. The times 39.63, 40.12, and 40.23. The boys 11 to 12, they emerge out of the water entry with Tariq Greenwich taking command. More and more he was putting light between himself and the rest of the swimmers, and his pace was on Carifta qualification standards. It was as if Greenwich was in a class all his own. At this stage, it was just him and the clock. There's no denying that he is in top form. Look at the way he demolished this field. The time 37.23 under the Carifta B qualification standard of 37.51. Greenwich can set his sights on Carifta 2022. Girls 13 to 14, and all the swimming was done in the middle of the pool. Out front and center with 3 swimmers in tow, battling for second was Tonia Waldron. Shorter strokes, but definitely effective. Right behind her, Rebecca Weeks, Sienna Walton, and Takara Branford. Waldron will indeed hit the wall first, completing her 50-meter breaststroke swim in 40.53 seconds. Weeks second, 41.62, and third was Walton, 41.91. 13 to 14 boys to pick it up at the halfway point. The aerial view with it still anyone's race for the taking, although there were slight leads from Rajani St. Hill and Joshua Ross. Just about 15 meters left, and look at the yellow cap of St. Hill. He went into extra drive in those final meters to edge Ross further from the screen in the blue cap, with Jaden Levine in the red cap in third. The times 36.35, 36.82, and 37.11. To the big girls, 15 and over, and she came into the race as favorite and did not disappoint. Focus on the middle of the pool. That's the yellow cap of Adara Stoddard, who was in charge of this race from start to end. Look at that power as she glides through the water. She has maintained her form, and with this swim can get her training in motion for next year's Carifta, touching the wall in 36.27 seconds. That has met the Carifta B qualification standard. Second and third claimed by Amelia Mears and Emily Baker. At the cap of the 50-meter breaststroke events, the boys 15 and over pace was like fire. They came up pretty even from the water entry, so it's who had the true kick for home. halfway mark and it's still too close to call, this one will go down to the wall. That's until Storm Cullimore engaged extra drive, getting that edge that was needed for the win. 33.18 seconds. In second, Christopher Pollard 33.80, and third, Christian Kelly 33.94. It was great to see our swimmers back in competitive action.
Athletes participating in the Junior Pan American Games 2021 in Cali, Colombia from November 25th to December 5th will have to be fully vaccinated. Dr. Adrian Lord, who is a member of the Pan American Medical Commission, said the decision was taken to help in controlling the spread of the virus at the Games and in the best interest of the athletes and officials. Dr. Lord was the presenter of a virtual session jointly organized by the Barbados Olympic Association and the Barbados Sports Medicine Association entitled COVID, the Virus, Vaccines and Variants.
All athletes over the age of 18, this is not a BOA rule, this is the Cali Pan Am Games rule. I'm on the Pan Am Medical Commission. All persons 18 years and over must be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Fully vaccinated, not partially, fully. And if unvaccinated, they will be tested, be allowed to take part. Random testing will be done of the vaccinated, but spectators must be vaccinated and attendance is capped at 50%. And face coverings are mandatory.
Canada collected another valuable away point yesterday in a goalless draw with Jamaica in the final round of CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. The Canadians remain unbeaten in the final round of qualifying in the region as they're 4 from 1 win and 4 draws on 7 points. Jamaica are in the cellar, 8th place on 2 points from 2 draws and 3 losses. Leaders Mexico are the only other undefeated team. They have 3 wins and 2 draws for 11 points. Lisa, that's my look at sports.
Thanks very much, Anne-Marie. Well, that's our news tonight. But before we go, just a reminder for you to continue following us here on TV8. You can also get more news on our social media platforms. We're on Instagram at CBC News Barbados and Facebook at cbcnews.bb, as well as our radio stations 947, 100.7 and 98.1 The One. That's news. Good night.
Thanks for visiting us. To get more stories like this one, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.